Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to discuss modern physics, the syllabus based on your HSTR examination. Welcome to our YouTube channel Unfog with Dr. Athar Parveen. So let us start modern physics. Actually, this is the syllabus of HSTR. I don't want to go in the order of the syllabus which is given here, because I am not liking the order in which they have given this syllabus. Means what I mean to say is, see, for example, if you want to understand nuclear chain reaction, nuclear fission and nuclear fusion, you need to know what are isotopes first. So that's why I said that I didn't like the order. So without following the order, I will complete this entire syllabus. Okay. So I'm not highlighting whatever I'm going to teach today. Anyway, I'm going to teach about atoms, atomic number and mass number, nuclear chain reaction, nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, and the concept of isotopes, isotones and isobars. Okay, this much I am going to discuss in this present lecture. Okay, before starting the class, I want to remind you all, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, and if you like my work, please do like, share my videos. And if you don't like the way of my teaching, or if you don't like the lectures, then you are free to click that unlike button also, the dislike button. It's not that you have to just like the video. Anyway, you should react, whether it is like or dislike, no problem. Your reaction is important for me, because that is the one mode of a reaction. How you all react to my lecture is important for me. That is a feedback for me. Okay, friends. So let us start this class. There was like many of you were asking modern physics, right? So that's why on the demand of all the subscribers, I am making this video. So let us start. Okay. Physics was divided into two parts. The old physics, which was known as a classical physics, and the modern physics. Actually, in modern physics, as I told you, so much is there. The dual nature of matter, photoelectric effect, all that comes under modern physics only. But for your HSTR syllabus, they have given some typical topics under modern physics. So without disturbing that syllabus, because our aim is to just to follow whatever is written in the syllabus, so I am putting all that syllabus into modern physics for this lecture. Okay. So as per syllabus, let us start. First of all, we need to know what are atoms. See, many of us, in fact all of us, know what are atoms. But then if you want to recall how to define them, they are the basic building blocks of matter. There is no matter in the world which is made without atoms. Everything in the universe, in fact, is made of atoms. Like basic building blocks means, if you are constructing a building, then you keep that bricks to make that wall, right? So that bricks are the basic building blocks for that particular building, which you use during construction. Like that, any matter is composed of the basic building blocks, and that basic building blocks are atoms. Okay. Now, if I want to describe one atom, how would I describe? We are learning this from school days, right? How would we describe? We would say that in an atom, there is a nucleus which is in the center. In that nucleus, there are two types of particles. One are protons, the other one are neutrons. And outside the nucleus, there is a electron. These electrons, they revolve around the nucleus. So this nucleus, which contains protons and neutrons and the electrons outside the nucleus, all put together makes a atom. So these are the constituents of atoms, we can say. Now, how do we measure this atom? It is too small, right? We cannot even see it from the naked eye. We need some very powerful microscope to see an atom. But it is easier to measure the atomic radius because, see, for a particular material, it will have same type of atoms, right? If I see the distance between the center, the two centers of the two atoms, then I will get to know the radius also, right? For that atom, I can find the radius also, which is easier for me. So usually we measure atom with its radius, and that radius unit is also in nanometers. So much small that atom is. Nano means 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Okay, 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Sometimes we measure this atomic radius in angstrom also. We will write A and 10 will be there upon it. You must have seen that usually we use that unit for wavelength also, angstrom. So that 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meters. Okay, remember, I have not written it here, but just I am giving you information. You please gather it because they can ask anything in an MCQ, right? So each and every point which I am mentioning in this lecture, not only this lecture, any lecture of physics, each and every point is important, friends. They can ask any point by making a multiple choice question. Okay, so we were talking about atoms, right? As I told you, atoms, they are composed of neutrons, protons and electrons, but there is one exception. When we talk about atoms, we are talking about the general atoms. The exception is hydrogen because hydrogen does not have neutrons. Okay, it's quite interesting, right? Hydrogen has only protons and electrons. That too, one proton and one electron is there in the hydrogen. There is no neutron. Okay. And as I told you, every atom, it has a nucleus that bounds one or more electrons around it. It depends. Hydrogen has 1 electrons. Then helium will have 2 electrons. It depends on the atomic number, right? If we see the periodic table, we will understand. We will talk more on that also in this lecture only. So right now, just remember that every atom, it is having nucleus. Okay. That nucleus bounds one or more electrons around it. That means it has a power to make electrons to revolve around it. It keeps it binded. That's the reason why electron does not go out of an atom, right? Why is that electron is revolving inside the atom around the nucleus? Because the nucleus is binding it. It is attracting it. There is something in the nucleus which attracts that electron. That's why we are using this word bound. Then the nucleus, it has typically similar number of protons and neutrons. Usually that is the case. Generally, number of protons are equal to number of neutrons. Okay. This together, protons and neutrons, because they are inside the nucleus, they are together known as nucleons. So if there is this word nucleons in any question, you should understand that the question is explaining about the protons and neutrons. So nucleons means protons and neutrons. And what is the charge of these protons? These protons are positively charged. Electrons, they are negatively charged. Neutrons are neutral. Okay. So in an atom, protons are positively charged, electrons are negatively charged, and neutrons are neutral. Now this may click something in your mind. That word bounds, I told you, nucleus bounds one or more electrons, I told you, why is it attracting the electron? Because there is a positive proton in it, and we know that positive and negative charges, they attract each other, right? There is a positive charge inside the nucleus, there is a negative charge outside the nucleus in the form of electron, and the positive charge inside the nucleus is in the form of proton. So nucleus attracts the electron, or the protons attract the electron. That's the reason why electron is revolving around the protons, okay, or around the nucleus. Now we told that proton is positively charged and electron is negatively charged, right? But then what is the charge? See, proton and electron have same charges, 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Coulomb is the unit for the charge. Both have same charge, 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. But because proton is positively charged, the charge will become plus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb, and the charge on electron will become minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. And if we see the mass, proton is heavier than electron. You can see the values. Proton and neutron mass is similar, but electron is very much lighter when compared to proton. So this is the another reason why proton can attract electron easily. The mass is more, right? That means it will have more energy to attract. Okay. So you can note down the values also. The masses of protons, electrons and neutrons. Anyway, neutron you don't need to remember because it is similar to proton. But you need to remember the charge and mass of electron and proton. They can ask as a MCQ, especially charge. Okay. Then one more thing which you have to remember is just the atomic radii. Some little glance you can have. You can understand the size of the atoms with this. See, atom of hydrogen, the atomic radii is 10 raised to minus 10 meters. Means 10 raised to minus 10 meters means 1 angstrom. Whereas for a sand, grain of a sand, it is 10 raised to minus 4 meters. We can see sand from our naked eye, right? We cannot see atom of hydrogen from our naked eye. So the atom of hydrogen is very much smaller, 10 to the power 6 times smaller than grain of sand. Okay. So you can note down these values also. They can ask in MCQ. You never know. Okay. Now let's understand what is atomic number and what is atomic mass as per your syllabus. First, let's discuss what is atomic number. Atomic number means number of protons in one atom. How many protons are there? So much number will be the atomic number. Okay. Now we know that number of protons and number of electrons will be same, right? Usually they are same except some exceptional cases. Usually in all atoms, number of protons will be equal to number of electrons. That means atomic number you can determine by number of protons also or by number of electrons also. And particularly for one atom, there will be one atomic number. Okay, in one element, say for example, if I am talking about hydrogen. In hydrogen, there will be hydrogen atoms, right? All those hydrogen atoms will have one atomic number. Atomic number of hydrogen is 1. So all hydrogen atoms in that element will have atomic number 1. Okay. If it is H2O, means hydrogen is also there, oxygen is also there, then hydrogen atoms will have atomic number 1. Oxygen atoms will have atomic number 8. Okay, it is like that. If we see the periodic table, no, then we will understand how that chemical elements they are arranged. They are arranged on the basis of the atomic number only. Okay. Now to understand the atomic number, I am putting this carbon here. 6 protons are there, 6 neutrons are there. So atomic number will be 6. Symbol for atomic number is Z. Okay. Say for example, if there is some other element X is there, you say. The symbol is X, you say. For that atomic number will be number of electrons or number of protons. Like that. Means in carbon there are 6 protons and 6 neutrons. That's why its atomic number is 6. Like that it is. Okay. Now there is another thing which we use to describe a element, that is known as atomic mass. We denote it by capital A. That atomic mass, no, it is number of protons and neutrons. We have to add how many protons plus how many neutrons together, how many of them are there. That will give you atomic mass of that particular element. The symbol for atomic mass is capital A, and you write it here like this. Here in the upper place, in the left hand side, you write capital A, that is your atomic mass. In the lower place, you write Z, that is your atomic number. Okay. Now there is another term known as mass number which we have written here, right? Now mass number, it is almost same as atomic mass, because in mass number we will add electrons also, but that electron is like very small when compared to proton, right? That's why atomic mass is nothing but the mass number we say in general. Okay, so if one is writing atomic mass, it's nothing but mass number, or mass number is nothing but atomic number. Now we were talking about nucleons, right? The nucleons, both protons and neutrons which are present in the nucleus, they together are called nucleons. Now if I add these nucleons, means I told you, right, for carbon 6 protons and 6 neutrons are there. When I was talking about atomic number, I told that any one, 6 protons or 6 electrons, I told any one. Okay, they both are same only. So 6 protons means the atomic number of carbon will be 6. But when we talk about the mass number, we will add 6 protons and 6 neutrons. 6 plus 6 will be 12. So the atomic mass or mass number of carbon will be 12. Okay, I hope it is clear now. Now let's talk about these isotopes, isobars, isotones and isomers. This is a very important thing, because 99% times at least one question comes from this topic. Okay, so what are isotopes? Now isotopes means, I'll give you example. See this, the atoms of element, if they have same atomic number but different mass number, then that type of elements are known as isotopes. Best example is hydrogen atom. For hydrogen atom, atomic number is 1, right? But there are two different type of elements known as deuterium and tritium. Here atomic number will be same, means 1 only will be there. For hydrogen it is 1, right? Atomic number for deuterium and tritium will be 1 only, but mass number will be different. Why it will be different? See, for ordinary hydrogen it will have 1 electron and 1 proton, no neutron will be there. But for deuterium, 1 neutron will be there, and for tritium 2 neutrons will be there. That means the mass number will change, right? For mass number we add the nucleons, number of protons and number of neutrons. That's why the mass number will change. Okay, same is the case with the carbon atoms also. Atomic number for carbon is 6, but there are other carbon atoms or carbon as element whose mass numbers are not only 12 but 13 and 14 are also there. Okay, and interestingly they are all stable. Not only these, there are more, I think 400 stable isotopes are there. Okay, and why these isotopes are important means, the nuclear energy and radioactivity, it depends on the unstable isotopes, those isotopes which are heavy elements. Okay, those isotopes which are unstable and which are heavy elements, means they come in the last in the periodic table. Based on this only, the nuclear energy and radioactivity process is dependent. Okay, that's the reason why I took isotopes first, why I want to explain isotopes before explaining the nuclear reaction. Okay, the chain reaction or the fission or the fusion. That's the reason why I am teaching isotopes first. Okay, next type of elements are isobars. What are they? In these isobars, no, mass number will be same, but atomic number will be different. For example, argon and calcium. For argon and calcium, atomic numbers are different. Means for calcium it is 20 and for argon it is 18. They are two different elements, they will have different atomic number, right? But mass number, interestingly, mass number is same, means 40. Number of nucleons, if you add them, it is 40 for both argon and calcium. Okay, so these type of elements are known as isobars. See friends, if you are getting confused, don't worry. I will show you trick also to remember isotopes, isobars, isotones and isomers. First let me explain what are they, then I will show you the trick. Okay. Next comes isotones. What are they? They are the type of elements whose nuclei they have same number of neutrons, but number of protons are different in that nuclei. That type of elements are known as isotones. And other type of elements are there which are known as isomers. In isomers, no, mass number will be same, atomic number will be same, but their radioactive properties they will be having different radioactive properties. That type of elements are known as isomers. Isomers, they will have one more speciality, that their molecular structure will be same. Okay, that's why they are known as isomers. Okay, now I will give you the trick to remember isotopes, isotones, isobars and isomers. I explained what are they. I hope you understood. If you did not understand also, don't worry. I will give you the trick. You can easily remember what are they and you can understand also. Okay. So trick to remember isotopes, isotones, isobars and isomers. Why I have written this P, N, B and M here in bigger and font and in different color? Because this is the trick. See, for isotopes means P is there, right? Actually, iso means same. Just you remember, iso. The meaning of iso is same. Okay. Now in isotopes, P is the highlight, right? P stands for protons. Iso means same. So in isotopes, same number of protons will be there. Okay, same number of protons will be there. So what will be different then? They will have different mass numbers because proton number is same, right? Atomic number will be same. So what is the other thing which you have to remember? Which is the mass number, that will be different. If you just remember same number of protons, that is more than enough. Iso means same, P for protons, same number of protons will be there in isotopes. Then isotones, N for neutrons, right? Same number of neutrons will be there. What are the other things which will be there other than neutrons? There are protons, right? They'll be different. So in isotones, same number of neutrons will be there. Next, isobars. Iso means same, B for both, let us say. Okay, B for both. What are that both here? We are talking about protons and neutrons. Iso means same, B for both, same. Both. What are both? Protons and neutrons. That means mass number. Same mass number will be there. The other thing will be atomic number, which is different. Okay. Next comes isomers. For isomers, no, I told you that they will have different radioactivity properties, right? But to remember, for M, molecular formula they will have same. Okay. They will have structure will be different, but molecular formula will be same for isomers. M for molecular formula. Okay. So I hope that now you got this trick and you can easily remember the concept of isotones, isobars, isotopes and isomers. Okay. Now let's talk about nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Now this is the time for us to understand what is nuclear fission and nuclear fission after understanding the concept of isotopes. Now there are two types of nuclear reactions. Okay, all the nuclear reactions can be divided into two types. One is nuclear fission, the other is nuclear fusion. Okay, fission, fusion. In nuclear fission, some disintegration will happen. Fission means breaking, you remember. Okay, some disintegration will happen in the nucleus. The term nuclear only indicates that there is something happening in the nucleus, right? When we are talking about nuclear fission and fusion, we are talking about the nucleus only. Electrons are not at all there in the picture here right now in fission and fusion. Okay. So nuclear fission means something is breaking. That something will be nucleus only, right? Disintegration. Then fusion. Fusion means combination. The word only indicates, right? Fusion. Fusion means combination. Something is combining. That something is nucleus. Okay. So nuclear fission and fission, they involve the disintegration and combination of the elemental nucleus. In case of nuclear fission, atoms divide into two or more smaller or lighter atoms. And in case of nuclear fusion, two or more atoms, they join together or fuse together to form a large atom or a heavier atom or a bigger atom Obviously, right, when two small atoms, they will fuse together, the one big atom will form. Correct? That is nuclear fusion. And in nuclear fission, one big atom will divide, means two smaller atoms will form. That is nuclear fission. Okay. Again, I will discuss clearly fission and fusion. First fission, let us discuss. In nuclear fission, some nuclear reaction is happening where nucleus of atom, it will be bombarded with low energy neutrons. Bombarded means you will hit one neutron to that atom. You cannot hit it by hand. You will use something to hit it. Okay. So you will hit that neutron to that atom. If you hit it, that nucleus will split into two smaller nuclei. Okay. It is like that. If I want to give you example, yeah, one example I can give. You have placed one egg, you think. Egg is bigger, right? You are taking one small marble and hitting it very fastly. What will happen? That egg will break, right? It will break into pieces. That only happens with the nucleus. You are using that small neutron to hit that big nucleus, but you are hitting it so faster that nucleus will break, okay, into smaller nuclei. This is known as nuclear fission. Obviously, in a nuclear fission, abundant amount of energy should be released, right? Obviously, it should be released because you are splitting nucleus. Nucleus is so tightly bound together that you cannot break it without any release of energy. Correct? Now, these fission reactions, no, they are used in nuclear power reactors. Why they are used in nuclear power reactors means it is easy to control these nuclear fission reactions. You can easily control them, and of course large amount of energy is released, so that energy is utilized in nuclear power reactors. So the application also, you can say that nuclear fission, it is used in nuclear power reactors. Now let's talk about nuclear fusion, the combining. The nuclear fusion, it is a reaction that occurs when two or more atoms, they combine together to form one single heavier nucleus. Here also enormous amount of energy is released, but that enormous amount of energy, it is very much greater than the energy which is released in nuclear fission. Okay, it will be much greater than the energy which is released during the nuclear fission reaction. We cannot control nuclear fusion reaction. It is very much tougher to control the nuclear fusion reaction when compared to nuclear fission reaction. Okay, I'll give you more clarity with these pictures. Nuclear fission, I have put it here in the left hand side, and nuclear fusion, I have put it here in the right hand side. See, what actually happens in nuclear fission is, you hit this neutron to uranium-235, means you bombard this uranium-235 using this neutron. Neutron is so fast that the uranium-235 will split into barium-144 and krypton-89. First, this neutron hit this uranium-235, no? That neutron also goes inside this uranium-235, so it becomes uranium-236. Now, after splitting, if you add barium-144, this number 144 to 89, you will get 233. Where did the other three numbers go? That other three numbers are here, the three neutrons. Okay, 236 minus together 233 will become 3. The 3 are these neutrons. One neutron is the one which is used to bombard. The other two neutrons, they come out from this uranium. Okay, this is known as nuclear fission. Means it is splitting, right? This uranium is splitting into barium and krypton. So this process is known as nuclear fission. What happens in fusion? See here, the two isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium, they together, if they are combined by any process, they will form one helium. That helium is having one atomic number more, right? Hydrogen is having atomic number 1. Helium is having atomic number 2. Correct, right? 1 plus 1 will give you 2. In this helium, one extra neutron will come out. So the product of nuclear fission will be one helium plus a neutron. Okay. So one neutron will come out. This is nuclear fusion. I really hope that you understood what is nuclear fission and nuclear fusion now. Okay. Now let us see the differences between nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. As I go on mentioning the points, you can imagine what type of questions can be asked in your HSTR examination. Okay, any point can be asked as a MCQ. That's the reason why I am giving you the difference also. Okay. So this table is very, very important. So please carefully you have to hear what I am telling. In nuclear fission, as I told you, atom is split into lighter nuclei through nuclear reaction. In nuclear fusion, the atoms two lighter nuclei, they will collide together and they form one heavier nucleus. When atom is splitting in nuclear fission, tremendous amount of energy is released. But in nuclear fusion, the tremendous amount of energy is greater than the nuclear fission energy. The energy which is released in fusion is very much greater than the energy released in fission. Okay. Another difference is that fission reaction, it will not occur naturally. Means you are only hitting that neutron to the nucleus of uranium, right? So they are artificial reactions. You make it in a nuclear power plant. But fusion reactions, they naturally they can occur. In stars and sun, fusion reactions only occur. So MCQ can be asked, which are the type of reactions that occur in sun? Fission or fusion? You should know that it is fusion, not fission. Okay. It is a very, very important question, friends. You can note it down. And in nuclear fission, we don't need much energy to split an atom. Only thing is the neutron should be very faster. But fusion, it will need very high energy because two atoms are combining together, right? The two high energy is needed to combine and then high energy is released also. It is like that in nuclear fusion. But in nuclear fission, atom bomb is the one of the biggest application. Okay. Atom bomb, it works on the principle of nuclear fission. But hydrogen bomb, the most severe bomb, it works on the principle of nuclear fusion. Okay. I hope I am clear now. So even this can be asked as MCQ. Atom bomb, fission. Hydrogen bomb, fusion. Okay. Now let me give you a few more important points which can be asked as MCQ. First is that in fission, atoms split into lighter nuclei. Okay. In fusion, atoms two lighter nuclei, they collide with each other to form one heavier nucleus. Then nuclear fusion, it can take place in sun. That is the reaction because of which we are getting light also actually. Okay. That energy, that heat and all that is because of nuclear fusion only. And atom bomb, it works on the principle of nuclear fission. And nuclear fission reaction, it does not take place naturally. Okay. Now let's talk about what we call as nuclear chain reaction. Actually, in nuclear fission, no, what happens, no? Some radioactive atoms are there. What is radioactive atoms? They are the atoms which release energy. We will talk about radioactivity in next lecture, okay? In this lecture, we will just talk about these nuclear reactions. So right now, just to understand what is radioactivity, I am telling that there are some unstable atoms which release energy continuously. They are known as radioactive atoms. So this nuclear fission, it takes place in radioactive atoms. Fission means splitting, right? So these radioactive atoms, they split into pieces and they will cause some subsequent reaction with the help of that neutrons. Now these kind of reactions, they take place in a nuclear power plant, I told you, right? And the work of that nuclear power plant is to generate electricity. Okay, we can generate electricity in the nuclear power plant. Now this is the chain reaction I am showing. See, one neutron is a hit to the uranium-235 nucleus. This uranium-235 nucleus is bombarded. It will split into two nucleus. That two nucleus, they will release lot of energy. Okay. And few neutrons also will be released. Those neutrons again, they will bombard the other fission products. They are again the uranium-235 nucleus. Again that neutrons are there, no, they will bombard, no. Again you will get uranium-235 and one neutron. That neutron again it will bombard the uranium-235. In this way the chain will happen. That's why we call it as a nuclear chain reaction. Okay, this is a nuclear chain reaction. Now the speciality is that the reaction, it will initiate its own repetition, because one neutron is coming out means what is the work of that neutron? It will bombard the nucleus. And the output of one nuclear reaction, it will cause more nuclear reactions to occur. That's the reason why nuclear chain reaction is happening. Example is that neutron, it will strike 235 uranium nucleus and it will cause fission event. Okay, this will release more neutrons as I showed you in the figure. Now these excess electrons, no, they can go to cause more fission events to occur. That's why we call it as a chain reaction. I explained you all this, right? And the main application of these nuclear chain reactions, no, they are used in the nuclear power plants and we can generate electricity. Now let's discuss the expected multiple choice questions which can be asked in our HSTR examination. Okay, each and every question is very, very important, friends. So you have to carefully attend this lecture. The first question is the splitting of a nucleus into smaller nuclei is. Now you can easily answer this question, right? It is fission. Splitting means fission, combining means fusion. Which isotope of uranium has the capacity to sustain the chain reaction? By this time you must be knowing it is uranium-235. Which of the following atomic particles have the least mass? Least mass, I told you in the table, I showed you, right? It is electron. It is lighter when compared to proton. Obviously deuteron, though it is much heavier because it will have one electron and I think two neutrons will be there. And neutron, it is similar to proton, right? So electron is the only one atomic particle which is having the smallest mass or the least mass, or which is lighter. Next, question number 4. During an atomic explosion, the energy released is due to. It should be the conversion of mass into energy. Mass is converted into energy in an atomic explosion. That I will explain you. The conversion of mass into energy, I will explain you in this lecture only after, I think, 5th or 6th question or 7th question maybe. I'll explain you this concept, okay? Next, question number 5. What is the beneficial aspect of nuclear fission? Means, why is nuclear fission important? What is the application or what is its importance? The ability to release tremendous amount of energy. Okay. Not only this energy can be controlled. That is also another beneficial aspect of nuclear fission. Okay. Actually, tremendous amount of energy will be released in fusion also. But that we cannot control, right? This we can control. Okay. In nuclear fission, ability to release a tremendous amount of energy is beneficial for us. Next, question number 6. When a neutron leaves the nucleus, its mass, obviously it should decrease, right? When a neutron will come out of the nucleus, the mass should decrease, right? Okay. Next question. Question number 7. The energy we get in nuclear reaction comes from the mass of the fuel. That I was telling you, right? That E is equal to mc square thing. Actually, nuclear fusion and fission, they will result in change in mass. Correct? The starting and the ending product will have different mass. That loss in mass, it is converted into energy. Okay, E is equal to mc square. C is the speed of the light. E is equals to mc square is the famous Einstein's equation. E is equals to mc square. Here, why we are telling that the energy we get in nuclear reaction comes from mass of the fuel? Because that uranium-235 will lose the mass, right? That uranium-235 is itself the fuel here. So the mass is losing by the fuel. That's why that option 2 is the right answer. I am giving you the figure also here. You can see uranium-235, as I told you, if I add here, no, the barium and krypton, if I add 139 and 94, we'll get 233. The other 3 numbers we are losing because of the 3 neutrons which are coming out. Means it is losing the mass, right? That mass is converted into energy. How much energy? It is 200 MeV. Okay. Even they can ask this as a MCQ. The energy released in this nuclear fission is 200 MeV. We should remember this. Okay. Next question. Atoms of different chemical elements that have same number of nucleons are called. Obviously, they are isobars. Okay. By this time, you must be knowing. Next, question number 9. Most of the energy released in fission process is in process of, yes, it should be kinetic energy. Why it should be kinetic energy? Because there is some collision, right? If there is some collision means the particles are moving, and movement means kinetic energy. Okay. Next question. What type of reaction takes place in sun? Now you can easily answer this question, right? It is nuclear fusion. Okay, this is I am giving you the diagram for fusion also, how the fusion happens. After fusion of tritium and deuterium, one helium atom will be formed and one neutron will be released. Means one helium atom plus neutron will be formed in the nuclear fusion. This is the main base because of which we are getting light and heat from the sun. Okay. Now this is the assignment question for you all. You have to answer this question in the comment section. This is a very easy question. That's why I will not give you a hint also. If you attended the class carefully, then within few seconds you will answer this question. Please let me know your answers in the comment section. Okay friends, I will finish the class now. I think the class has become very lengthy. I will stop it here. So on lot of viewers demand, I made this modern physics lecture today. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section. And we have the Telegram channel. You can join the Telegram channel. We also have a group where we discuss a lot of things. We also share this materials also there. Okay, I'll give the link in the description. You can join the Telegram channel. Okay then, before signing off, I want to remind you all to subscribe to my channel and also like my videos and share them with your friends and family and contacts and HSTR aspirants. Okay then friends, all the best. Work hard. Thank you. Bye.